I'm going to talk about Trump and Biden's, like, their period of time, what they accomplished, what they didn't accomplish. A lot of it now is publicity and just talking, just saying stuff, saying a lot of big, loud statements. But here's the truth. Here's what's crazy. Overall, what we've seen, and this might offend people, but it's true. Trump hasn't accomplished much more than most other presidents. But his newer term, we don't know. He might do something different. He might do something crazy. But the broad stroke statements are things he wants to accomplish. There are better, more effective ways to get what he wants than like just force removing immigrants or raising tariffs. It looked like, I'm not saying Kamala Harris's plan was great, but I'm not saying that I honestly don't think it was a great idea completely. I think it needed more detail and being fleshed out. It didn't look planned out enough, in my opinion. You know what I mean? It's just, there needs to be a more dialed in approach to finances than just one problem with parents. Okay? And also making it harder for businesses. This is not the way to deal with things either. And other problems are like teachers are not taking, the education system still needs work. I know that way back, Obama and they were trying to do a few things to help the schools, but they didn't really all help. And then we all know about Obamacare that failed. There doesn't need to be a presidential fix. I don't know how to explain this. I think there needs to be a team of different viewpoints, overall, Democrat, Republican, etc., that can sit down and agree on something and not act like we are all against each other, that we are all competition, and that, oh, look at these guys, they're assholes, I'm not the asshole. That's a problem all the time. That's a mentality that makes people less educated, that they don't really have a clue on just, hey, I respect that you have a different view, but here's what I think. It's okay. And not manipulating each other either way. You don't, just because you have to be, looking like, I'm tougher than you, I'll say what I want to say. I'll manipulate you if I have to because I feel like you're manipulating me. I'm not going to assume that about you, Kind of like with presidential, like, debates or them going against each other, they immediately just roast each other when it's like, you don't have to. That's not really necessary. It's not even a professional. Like, that's what we're allowing people to see as a behavior that is okay in general, not just with Trump, but everybody. So Americans have this toxic, understanding and like view and approach that that's stable. That's being stable. When the problems have always been there in America. They get moved around, they get shuffled around here and there. Oh, we're under, societal collapse and instability constantly. And here's the truth, though. We're not entirely. Like, we're not as bad off as they make it sound, but we're not great off. Like, everything's are not perfect right now. Like, talking about costs going up with Joe Biden. That's true. It's been living and paying for food and things has been more difficult. But do I think that's going to improve with Trump being president? I don't think so. I genuinely don't. And that's not because of his plan. That's not because of like a personal thing. I just don't think it's going to improve because of how things are forced. Either way, you're going to hurt some other area of what we need to function, right? Or we suddenly just start growing our own food. Imagine we stop putting the pressure and everything on the government to fix it, and we all started growing our own food at our homes. We used less electricity. We threw away less waste. Can you imagine the simplest individual choices of millions of people all doing this thing? Our environmental issues would go away. Our power usage and costs would go down. Food and all the demand for that would go down. And people wouldn't want to leave America. I'll show the percentage. I don't actually know it by memory, but it is a staggering amount of people looking to leave the U.S. because of Trump being president. Either way, they're immigrants or they're famous people and they just don't want to deal with, the stress. And vice versa, I think if Harris was president, people might want to leave too. It's weird to admit that, but I think it's just a general thing that either one being elected stresses them out enough to make them want to leave. Why that is because she threatened the upper class, which I don't know if is a great idea entirely. Helping lower class makes sense, though. They have the money. And yes, some people make too much money, but people who make $400K a year, I don't think they need to be targeted. I think we're talking about people who make millions. And yes, I'm talking about celebrities. Every time this thought crosses my mind, I go to people who make millions of dollars and all they do is appear in a few films and they're just rolling in money and they get to look pretty all day while there's kids starving and people suffering constantly. And it's like, you could do something with that money. And yes, don't get me wrong, there are famous people that give. We got Johnny Depp, Keanu Reeves, there's a few others, but they help people and they don't make it about them and they don't put on a show. And that's the point I want to make is don't do things because you want to look good. Do things that are kind and helpful to people because you know it's right, because you know you should do that. I'm glad I didn't vote. I'm going to admit that. I'm glad I didn't vote because I can't really morally choose to pick either. Knowing my values, knowing what I actually believe in. And this might offend some people. I do believe it requires some form of force, like actually being very adamant and forceful in some areas, being a president. I'm not saying, because this might offend people who are Trump supporters or not, that Trump doing it the best way, but I do believe that there needs to be here's how it's going to happen. But do I think deporting 11 million people is the most stable decision ever? No. Finding a way to either make them citizens, and if they don't abide by that, then they are removed, makes sense. Another thing is who's going to replace the 11 million people in the workforce. That forces all non-abiding or lazy Americans that are not paying rent or they're cheating the system. There's people that are in the US that cheat the system that are not made to look bad. Oh, the perfect Americans. They're just doing the right thing all the time. Right, sure. Trump being more exposed is good for him, and the fact that he's elected, him being more around people is a good thing. That's not unhealthy. What's unhealthy is, well, I have to admit it, just constant hate and frustration constantly being upheld as a value when not everything needs to be worded or put that way, because solving a problem doesn't mean getting mad at it and being a toxic person towards things all the time. It takes a bit of both, like I said, a bit of force, a bit of firmness, and understanding at the same time. That's all I gotta say. But yeah, I don't think I don't think he's done any better than any other president. That's my opinion, because it doesn't look that much better. It's just more shit being moved around, and that's frustrating to me. That's more infuriating than anything, than whether I agree with or not with him. It's just nothing feels better. All right. I'll see you guys later. Bye. So, these videos I'm trying to make are to be like, I'm trying to put more effort into my own thoughts and education type of content. But also, I just want to let you guys know that I will disable the comments, not because I'm trying to be weak or anything, that I'm not afraid. It's more that I don't want particularly people with these touchy subjects to be attacking each other in my comment section. So it's for you guys. It's not for me. I don't care if I get attacked, because I have been attacked before by, the Republican type people or liberals or whatever. I don't care. I'm not gonna debate. I'm not making these videos for that purpose. I'm making these because it's on my mind in general, and it's provoking my thoughts to want to explore and just talk about it in general. So it's not like, yeah, here's my opinion, you better agree, or I don't care. I really don't. But I appreciate you guys watching, and yeah. So just letting y'all know that I'm just generally looking into things, trying to be educated for myself. And so we should all do that. That's just a generally really good thing to do, instead of hearing something from someone else and then just going, well, that's probably true. I don't want to do that anymore. But yeah, thank you guys for watching and supporting my video. I appreciate it.